The West would not be the West without the Colorado River. It has sustained wildlife and supported Native American people for millennia. The West's towns, booming cities, many of the farms that help feed the country and the world are thanks to the Colorado. This year marks 100 years since 7 states signed an agreement to divide up the waters of the Colorado called the Colorado River Compact. But the region and climate have changed dramatically since then.
The compact holds up, but barely.
The drafters of the compact got a few things wrong.
There were two main failings of the Colorado River Compact. The first was who it left out. The other major failing was that it was founded on inflated estimates of what was really available to divide among the states.
On the first question, why would such an important compact have left out so many water users?
The Colorado River Compact was negotiated and signed by the representatives of 7 states, 7 white men who represented colonial white settlers who had pretty recently arrived in this part of the country, and they divided the water amongst themselves and their constituents without recognizing water needs for Mexico, the water needs of Native American tribes who were living in their midst, and without recognizing the needs of the environment.
Since then, a treaty signed with Mexico guarantees the U.S.'s southern neighbor a portion of the river each year. Some Native American tribes still do not have legal water rights. Many are in court over it or in negotiations for settlements. Others lack the infrastructure to even use their water. And for the environment, the Endangered Species Act came along to force the government to protect important creatures in decline. But the other problem is there's not enough water to go around. The river was divvied up during particularly wet years, so more water was divided than what was actually available. Now, climate change is further shrinking the flow.
Temperatures have gone up in all seasons, and the warming makes the atmosphere a thirstier sponge that wants to draw water away from plants, soils, snow, and the river itself. And so less of the precipitation that feeds the river actually makes it into the river.
Meanwhile, cities and industries have boomed, which increases demand, and signs of that supply-demand imbalance are obvious.
The challenges on the Colorado River are plainly evident today. We know that because the river hasn't run regularly to the sea in most years in the last half century. We know it because for the last 20 years, we've been watching these giant reservoirs that store Colorado River water decline bit by bit, year after year.
States are facing both voluntary and mandatory cutbacks. Most recently, federal officials asked states to come up with a plan to reduce their water use by about 15% next year.
Between 2 and 4 million acre-feet of additional conservation is needed just to protect critical levels in 2023.
This mandate, as unprecedented as it is, reflects unprecedented conditions on the river.
As the western U.S. grapples with its fate, a future with far less water, what might life look like?
We won't go back to some golden era. We're sort of stuck with a new, shifting, we can't even call it a normal. It's going to be something we'll have to keep adapting to as we go.